Morning world, it's Tuesday the 1st of February 2022. It's about 9:30am UK time, and this is my astrological forecast for the month of February. As I speak, it's new moon. New moon actually happened a couple of hours ago, about 3-4 hours ago, but we've got the sun and the moon together in the sky at the moment in Aquarius, both strongly and approaching exact conjunction with Saturn. I consider this actually to be an auspicious new moon. Yes, the sun and the moon are square Uranus, and Saturn is still square Uranus, but all of these squares, they're slightly past exactness. The sun and the moon are both approaching Saturn as I speak. The moon will be conjunct Saturn within the next 2 hours. The sun will be conjunct Saturn within the next 3 days. So the first 2 or 3 days of this month are a little bit sticky. There's a lot of yes, no, black, white, a lot of tough decisions going on. And this is exacerbated by the fact that we're still in a Mercury retrograde, which ends in 72 hours time. Mercury will stop going retrograde early in the morning, about 10 past 4 in the morning UK time on Friday the 4th of February. So I suggest that the initial part of the first part of this month is a crazy time. But it's not just the sun and moon conjunct Saturn at the start of the month. As Mercury is standing still, it is conjunct Pluto. It has been conjunct Pluto for the last 3 or 4 days, 5 days. It will be conjunct Pluto for the next week, 9 days, 10 days, something like this. So we're in an extremely intense situation on the planet at the moment. And I'll come back to this, but there's other factors as well that need to be mentioned just to basically eliminate them from the plot. Jupiter is approaching sextile to Uranus, of which more in a moment. Neptune is not being a major role player during February. Almost everything else is. As we speak at the moment, the world's in a crazy space. We've got various seemingly prison states at the moment in the world, places like Singapore, Austria, Australia, Canada, where the flashbacks and the after effects of the COVID pandemic are still being taken far more seriously than they are in other countries, where these are seemingly, as I say, prison countries. No one in, no one out. And it does seem that this is becoming an outdated thing. I have said before publicly that the pandemic is coming to an end. I still believe this. I've been saying it since December. I think that by the time we're into May, COVID will be at the same level of the cold and flu. No pandemic in history has lasted for more than 2.5 years. However, at the moment, with the retrograde Mercury conjuncting Pluto and then staying conjunct Pluto for the next 9 days, even when it starts moving forward very slowly, we're also faced with a situation of potential warfare. Now, this is a term that's not been used recently. There's not been risk of a war, a global warfare issue. There's been isolated wars, whether it be in Sudan or Saudi and Yemen or the Kashmiri border or Burma. There's been wars going on worldwide. There's never a time where in human history where there hasn't been a war somewhere. But we now seem to be heading into a really big situation where war it's going to bring in a lot of other countries is a likely scenario. At this point, I'm going to suggest that China's influence here is actually pretty big. I think China on the back channels is saying to Russia that please don't invade Ukraine while the Winter Olympics are on. It won't look good on us. It'll take a lot of the publicity away from China. But the Winter Olympics are going to be for 2 weeks and 2-3 weeks, and if Russia were to delay its invasion of Ukraine or potential invasion of Ukraine until the end of February, a lot of the intensity has gone, and I suggest the moment will have been gone. Straight after this video, I'm going to do another video on certain world leaders, and Vladimir Putin's horoscope is fascinating right at this time. If Russia is going to invade Ukraine, it's going to be in the next 2 weeks, before the 15th of February, before the full moon in Leo. Certainly with Mercury conjunct Pluto, this creates a rhetoric around the world at the mental, verbal, intellectual and media-driven level of intensity, almost obsessive compulsive energies and extremes of behaviour. I do believe the world's in a very dangerous place at the moment. But then I also believe that astrologically speaking, the time of January, February, perhaps very early March is the most difficult time of 2022. With this new moon conjunct Saturn, which is having a dramatic effect on the horoscopes of a number of world leaders, then it seems like we're right at in the eye of the needle. It's what I call the pimple on top of the boil at the moment. But in the background, there's some actually quite nice things going on as well. Venus is stopped going retrograde now. It's slowly beginning to inch forward. Mars is catching up on Venus rapidly. And as of about now, those of you who are awake 2 hours, 1 hour before sunrise, before dawn, certainly, you should be able to start seeing Venus and Mars in the eastern horizon. And Venus conjunct Mars is going to be around now for a month, well, longer, 5, 6, even 7 weeks. And there will be a time when it's exact. Venus and Mars will move into Aquarius within an hour or two of each other. Soon. I don't know the exact date at the moment. So there's going to be quite a nice light show up in the sky an hour or so before dawn and 2 hours before dawn as we get later into this month of Venus and Mars together in the sky. But at the moment there's also a lovely aspect coming up from Jupiter to sextiling Uranus, and this is suggesting that over the coming 2-3 weeks is also, as well as all the troubles and traumas, there's going to be a number of windows of opportunity for new inventions, new attitudes, new novelty. And it gives me a cause for hope. It makes me think that out of all of this crazy stuff that we're going through at the moment, there is a new attitude developing, a new opinion worldwide around things to do with the resources of the world, the material possessions, the greed that seems to be empowering everything that's wrong with the world at the moment. This is a month where the world's collectively holding its breath, although there is a marked difference between the first 2 weeks of February and the second 2 weeks. And that is most symbolised by both the full moon on the 15th of February in Leo, which is also just fractionally after the time that Mercury will leave Capricorn and move into Aquarius. As we speak, we've got Mercury and Venus and Mars and Pluto all in Capricorn, all reasonably close to each other. Once Mercury leaves Capricorn, it's like there's going to be a bit of a deflation, and that's going to happen on the 14th and 15th, followed by the full moon in Leo. Now, at the end of this month, both Venus and Mars will end the month at 24, 25, 26 degrees of Capricorn. Pluto will be at 27. Venus and Mars together will conjunct Pluto in the first 1 or 2 days of March. So this period around the last couple of days of February and the first couple of days of March is also an incredibly intense time. But I suggest that this is less likely to play out on the world stage, and it's more likely to play out in the charts of certain specific individuals. I note, for example, with interest that this Venus-Mars-Pluto conjunction is very, very strong in the charts of people such as Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew of England, and I suggest that there's going to be quite a lot of muckraking and stuff coming up from the underworld. And indeed, at the end of the day, as I said in the global forecast for the start of this year, the first couple of months of this year, it's all about Pluto. We've had Venus station on top of Pluto before it went retrograde. We've now got Mercury standing still, conjunct Pluto. The full moon of 2 weeks ago was exactly opposite Pluto. And then we're going to have Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto at the end of February, very start of March. There's a lot more stuff to come up from the underworld. There's a lot more hidden things to be released. There's a lot more purging and detoxing and cleansing and purifying to do. A lot more elimination. I suggest that although January was pretty sticky for a lot of people, that February's equally as sticky and difficult. But I also suggest that this is the last seriously difficult time of 2022. Because already this year I've done about 70 readings in January for individuals. And in almost all of them, in over 90% of them, it's clear that the more we get into the second quarter, and certainly the third and fourth quarter of this year, things are easing up. And collectively, I believe this next month is the most difficult time of the rest of this year. So gird your loins, hang in there, and let's see where we stand in a month's time. The world's going to be a different place. Hopefully, equally for the positive as much as for the challenging. And then once we're into the second week of March, I truly think we can start to begin to relax into what looks like being a much easier year. Let's hope so. Right, now I'm going to do another set of videos, another video straight away on a few world leaders who are very pertinent to this time. Catch you later.